Dispatchers help callers on the worst days of their lives. For over 25 years, we've been there. A silent partner in millions of calls thanks to our redundant and diverse networks that ensure call delivery. Today, cities are bigger, traffic more congested, and the challenge is more complex. But you're never alone, because InDigital is quietly improving, implementing, and driving the next generation of 911, so you're supported in every situation. Make the switch at indigital.net.
My job is all about purpose.
Just the ability to make a difference, to help someone be able to go home at the end of the day.
My great-grandfather started the volunteer fire department in Springfield, Nebraska. My grandmother was a nurse. My uncle was a fire chief in Atlanta, Georgia. So somewhere down the line, it was my purpose to be doing this.
Yeah, we're a family here.
The data we get from Rapid SOS is life-saving.
Have you ever met a 911 professional and asked, what's the worst call you've ever taken? Well, here's your answer. I heard your last breath the night you flipped your four-wheeler. I tried to call you the day you committed suicide by driving your car into a tree. Blue face, cold to the touch. I helped you with CPR after you found your infant face down, not breathing. It messed me up. I did everything I could, but it wasn't enough. You were with me from the beginning, Grandma. 27 years later, I took the 911 call when you died. How fitting to be there for me in the beginning, and I was there for you in the end. I miss you, Grandma. I am 911. This is but a glimpse into the world of emergency dispatch. But what is it really like to answer a call during someone's nightmare? What is the impact of the first responder answering the call? Available on Amazon or where you purchase your favorite books and ebooks. Imagine listening. Your worst day is our everyday.
This is Jordan, and you're listening to the Code 7 Podcast Network.
Warning. This episode contains the 3 A's of podcasting: adult content, adult language, and awesomeness. You've been warned. And before my mom had a chance to unlock the door, for whatever reason, I'm holding the sewing machine in one arm, which I remember being super heavy, and going to open the door, and it just opened and those bells went off. And I quickly stopped, grabbed a hold of the sewing machine again, like with both hands, and I turned to look at my mom, who was now looking back at me because she was dealing with my younger siblings and stuff as we got in there. And she goes, "What's wrong?" I said, "Did you leave the door unlocked?" And she goes, "No." And we all ran because you could actually see that the door was just opening very easy. Like, I didn't even have to turn the doorknob. It was just opening. And it was because someone kicked the door in.
Welcome to Within the Trenches, true stories from the 911 dispatchers who live them.
Hey, what's going on? This is Ricardo with the Code 7 Podcast Network, and this is going to be Within the Trenches, true stories from the 911 dispatchers who live them. This episode is sponsored by InDigital, a leader in next-gen core services, as well as Rapid SOS, Safer Together. And a huge shout out, as always, to subscribers of the podcast and all of you who are listening, watching, sharing, and supporting. I appreciate you more than you know. I would not be able to do everything that I do if it wasn't for all of you. So thank you very, very much. It is December 22nd, I believe. As always, time is always going by very fast. So it's December 22nd, and this is Christmas week of 2025. And this episode is going to be a little bit different. A couple of the stories that are shared here are stories that I've told before in the past, but this is episode, I believe, 634. Yeah, 634. And if you were coming in on this episode as your first episode, this is going to be brand new to you. And if you're a longtime listener, it'll be familiar, but it is always a good story. And I just wanted to jump in here to mix it up a little bit from the usual interviews and share these stories because, as I said, it is Christmas week. And just to set the stage, I am currently sitting in a parking lot in my car, parking lot of a Starbucks. And I am in the state of Pennsylvania right now, visiting friends for Christmas that we have not seen in years. I would say probably about 4 or so years it's been. 3 or 4 years, something like that. So if you happen to hear any doors shutting or anything, again, that's because I'm sitting in a parking lot. So without further ado, I mean, let's get started here. There's a lot of stuff that has been going on. I'm recently back from a trip to New York City, which I can't say a lot about at the moment. But what I am authorized to say is that I was sitting in front of 3 big cameras and there was an interview going on and it was amazing. It was an awesome, awesome experience. I recently posted a video. If you're following me on social media, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok and such, I posted up a video of me being basically lost in New York in a sense, feeling as though I was Kevin McAllister getting ready to take down an enormous cheese pizza. Now, let me tell you, Joe's Pizza, I believe it's on Fulton, 124 Fulton Street, maybe, something like that. That pizza was amazing. If you are ever in New York City, get pizza from Joe's. It was a recommendation, and it was the best pizza that I've ever had. I don't know what they put in that crust, in the dough. It was crunchy, but also, kind of just soft. I can't even explain it. It was so good that I recommend it. If you ever get a chance, make sure to do so. In the video, I'm walking up to the box in my hotel room, excuse me, and I'm getting ready to eat a piece of pizza, and I was showing it to my daughter actually just a little while ago before recording this, and she heard the crunch of the crust, and she's got the chills. She goes, "It sounds so good." And I said, it was superb. So again, shout out to Joe's Pizza out there in New York City. That was amazing. I also got a chance to mark off another bucket list item, which was to go to Kat's Deli. Kat's Delicatessen. I don't know that I pronounced that right, but either way, that classic pastrami on rye and the amount of pickles, just everything that they gave was superb. So if you get a chance, if you're ever in the area, go to those 2 places. It was amazing. Okay, I will stop talking about food because now my stomach is slightly eating itself, and I'm craving that pizza and those sandwiches. A friend of mine told me when they saw the picture from Kat's Deli, they said, "You are going to miss that place," and I miss it. I definitely do. I've been craving it, and it was great. But just, again, all that to say, to be in New York City during Christmas time, that was an experience. I'm definitely going to be going back with the kids and such to have that experience with them. So good. And just some great opportunities that have been coming up. So again, as I mentioned in the beginning, this is Christmas week. This Wednesday, I believe, is Christmas Eve, and that's when this episode is going to be airing. So it'll be great for Christmas Eve because of the stories that I have to share here. So let's go back in time. Let's go back in time to, it was either 93 or 94, maybe something like that. Excuse me. And during this time, and this story that I want to mention first was actually kind of my first brush, my first run-in, so to speak, with the police. But it wasn't something that I did. Again, I was probably a teenager during this time, but we had we had something happen that we had to have the police come out. And I will say that when I was in dispatch, because I worked in the county that I lived in, and this would be Allegan County Central Dispatch. I started out my dispatch career in Florida, but I finished it off in the county that I grew up in. And we have an in-house computer, or in-house database rather, that we could access from any computer that we had there in the center. And we could, go back and search some records, that we needed at any time, that, things that were going on that we needed to go back and look up history. So for myself, what I wanted to do was I wanted to check out that specific call, just to read and to see who was on that call, which I did get to see who was on that call. And it was just interesting to be able to read the information that was put in from dispatch during that time, especially because later on I end up working there, right? So it made it even more, I don't want to say special because of what happened there, but maybe just more personal, I guess, because I lived it. And then getting to see it from the other side, it was just really interesting. So again, it's about 93, 94, something like that. And my dad had recently left. Now, I have a little pause there. That I don't mean it like that. He didn't just like split. He didn't go, to get milk and cigarettes and just never returned. It wasn't anything like that. My grandmother, his mom, was really, really sick, and she lived in what's known as the Valley of Texas. She lived in Donna, Texas, and she wasn't doing very well. She was pretty sick, and my dad and his younger siblings, his younger twin brother and sister, they ended up leaving Michigan, driving down to Texas to accompany their older brothers to help their mom. Because again, she was very sick. They weren't really sure if she was going to make it. So they end up going down there to spend the time that they wanted to with her, just in case she didn't make it. So it's just my grandmother, my mom's mom, living with us. My mom and my younger siblings and I there. And we knew our dad was going to miss Christmas and New Year's and all of that. And for good reason, right? Because family, this is just what you do. You got to do what you got to do. So during this time that we're preparing for Christmas, my mom and my Aunt Mary, they were always doing stuff together for the holidays or birthdays or whichever. It was always at either my Aunt Mary's house or my Uncle Steve's house. And they lived right next door to each other. Both of them with a lot of acreage, like bigger houses. And so we were always getting together there. Now, even though most of those were happening there, we all took turns, but this one was going to be a big one because my mom and my Aunt Mary were, they were going to put on, well, I say they were directing it, putting it all together, but it was myself, my siblings, and my cousins who were going to be presenting the nativity play. That's right. We were doing a play, and we were going to have it at my Aunt Mary's house. My mom and my aunt had, we got the story right, but they were having us act this out and, doing the parts that we were going to do. And they were sewing every costume. So we were there every day for the few weeks leading up to when we were going to do this play, which was going to be on Christmas Day of that year. So we were, like I said, we were going there every day and such. And this one specific day, I remember, see, my mom had one of these huge Singer sewing machines. It wasn't one of those that was, screwed into a like a cabinet type thing. It was one that's a desktop type where you just, you pick it up and you carry it wherever you're going to take it. But it was enormous and it was heavy. And I remember, carrying it and everything, of course, for my mom. A couple times my grandmother would say, I can go ahead and take it. I'm like, no, Grandma, like, no. I've got it. So we're out there. They're continuing to sew and do everything that they're doing. My cousins and I and my younger siblings were practicing our lines. We're running through the production. and my other cousins had come over because we were also at the end. We were going to sing Christmas carols, all of us kids. And we were going to be all dressed up. And it was the most hilarious thing. But, we were having fun. It was fun. It was before, handheld. I mean, there were handheld video games, but they were not like they are now. And, it's those times where we're just playing outside, either playing outside or we're inside watching a movie or cartoons, or we're playing board games. There wasn't a lot of electronics that we were on. We were not inundated by social media, by smartphones or anything like that. It was just us, it was just having fun. And so we go through all the songs, and which we couldn't stop laughing. It was hard to get through it, but we finally did. I remember my mom and my aunt were like, come on, chop, chop. You guys can do this. We got to get through this. So we get through it all, right? And we go home. And when we go home, I think it was maybe 8 at night, close to 9, something like that. It's dark. We get home and I'm ahead of the pack because I'm carrying the sewing machine. And actually, I'm not sure why I was, because I should have been last. I didn't have the keys on me to unlock the door. My mom was right in back of me, but she kind of pushed me forward. She's like, you go first. I've got the keys. I'll open the door and I'll get you in. So when you get to my house, we've got this gravel driveway that has this, it's like a hill going down. It's not a big one, but it goes down into the main driveway. And I remember back in the day when family would visit and it was snowing, or it had snowed and maybe iced over a little bit, it would take forever for someone to be able to get out because their tires would just be spinning and spinning and spinning. So my dad and I would go, and it's funny to think about it now, but we would run out there and be like, okay, hold on, like roll it back. And then someone would stand up at the top of the driveway because, our driveway was right next to the main road and cars were going by all the time. So my dad and I would get in front and push on the hood, and we would like rock back and forth. And we're like, okay, punch it. And we would start running with it, pushing. And then a car would come. We're like, oh, I thought there wasn't a car coming. So then we would go back down and then go back up again. And then they would get out of there. So that was always funny. But I remember us coming down and kind of sliding in a little bit and getting off. My mom telling everyone, especially my grandmother, be careful because it's icy. And there was kind of a longer pathway up to the 3 main stairs going into the porch of our house. And then there was the main door going into the house. Now, here's the thing. During that time, and I remember this specifically, like we would have it on there other years throughout the holiday leading up to this specific one. And I think this was probably the last time we did it. But we had sleigh bells, and we put them on the door handle of the main door, but it was on the inside of the house. So we always knew when someone was coming in, no matter where we were inside the house, because we could hear them. When the door would open, we would hear those sleigh bells ringing very, very loud. And I can hear it in my head right now too, which is crazy. So my mom and I, excuse me, and everybody, we walk up into the porch area. And before my mom had a chance to unlock the door, for whatever reason, I'm holding the sewing machine in one arm, which I remember being super heavy, and going to open the door, and it just opened and those bells went off. And I quickly stopped, grabbed a hold of the sewing machine again, like with both hands. And I turned to look at my mom, who was now looking back at me because she was dealing with my younger siblings and stuff as we got in there. And she goes, "What's wrong?" I said, "Did you leave the door unlocked?" And she goes, "No." And we all ran because you could actually see that the door was just opening very easy. Like, I didn't even have to turn the doorknob. It was just opening. And it was because someone kicked the door in. Now, we barely saw this, and we all ran outside of the porch. And I swear my mom had to have picked up my grandmother, because they were down those steps faster than you could, than you could even think. I mean, we were all running, and we hopped back into the car and we took off. And I believe we ended up going to a payphone to call 911. And I remember my mom telling them what had happened. And they said it was going to be a little while before someone got there. And it wasn't because, we didn't know that it was anything in progress. Because I remember we went back home to my aunt's house. And she didn't live close. I mean, she lived like 20 minutes away. And we went over there. And I believe my mom called again, and they said, we've got someone who's going to be heading that way. They were really busy that night, so they had to have someone clear to go over there, because it was, I guess, thinking about it now, because I worked there and because of how I know dispatch works, because we left and there was nobody else in the house, it wasn't maybe considered in progress at the time because we left. So maybe it was just like a little lower priority than, toning it out for someone who broke into a residence. But either way, we ended up leaving from my aunt's house. We drive that 20 or so minutes back to our house. Now, there was a house directly behind ours. It was an old barn that my dad had converted into a house, like an apartment, a 2-story apartment, really. And we rented it out. And during that time, my aunt, Cruz, was living there. So we end up going there first. And we go inside, we tell, my mom tells her sister, my Aunt Cruz, what happened. And she goes, "Russ," to my cousin Russ, who's a few years older than me, she goes, "Russ, take the boys upstairs and play video games," because she figured we were traumatized, which we kind of were. So it was like Super Nintendo time, and he had Street Fighter 2. And we were up there. So maybe it was more like 92, 93, thinking about it now, just based off that video game. We're up there and we're playing games, and my mom and my grandmother and my younger sisters were downstairs. Well, eventually my mom ends up going to the house to meet the officer, because again, it's directly behind our house. So she just goes, she just walks up through the back door to unlock it, and then, meets the officer. And, or maybe she went around the front. I don't know. I wasn't there at that time. So I'm guessing she went over the front just in case someone was hiding in back. But she ended up walking through the house with the officer, and they found no one. But that front door had been kicked in, and there was nothing stolen except for there were a bunch of clothes that were like rummaged through, and a bunch of that was missing. So they're assuming it was someone who needed clothes. I don't know. And because we had tons of electronics and other things that you would think that people would, want to go and steal, just, thinking about it hypothetically. And there was also like money in different places and jewelry that was all left. It was just clothes that was taken. So we were just like, okay. But did we stay there that night? Hell no, we did not. Because that door was still technically, like, you could just open it because it was kicked in. So the officer takes the report and everything, leaves. We end up getting some clothes and stuff. And I remember, I can see it in my head right now, looking in the closet and everything just being thrown around. And we got a bunch of clothes and we stayed at my Aunt Mary's for a week. During that week, my Uncle Steve ended up going with my mom to the house and replaced the door, put deadbolts on the main doors, and the sliding door, because we had a sliding door that went out to a deck. We had 2 decks. So the very back of the house, which was a newer addition, there was a deck out there, but part of the original house, or at least from when my parents bought it, there was a sliding door towards the front of the house in the living room. And there was a small deck that was out there. So for that sliding door, my uncle ended up basically breaking off the handle of a broomstick and shaved it off enough so that it fit there. And it told her, like, if anyone tries to come in through the sliding door, they're basically going to have to break through the glass to get in, because they're not going to be able to open it, because this piece is going to be blocking it. It's like a secondary lock. So my mom's like, okay, cool. So we go through that week, and then it's time to come home, because it's almost Christmas time. We're not far from Christmas Eve. And, my dad's kind of freaking out over there in Texas from what my mom was telling me. And she's like, just stay there. We're fine. Nobody was hurt. Nothing of real significance was taken. Like, we're good. Don't worry. Just stay. And he finally was like, okay, I'll go ahead and stay. Well, the first night that we're back at that house, we decide that we're going to all sleep in my grandmother's room. Because everyone was scared. In my grandmother's room, when you walked out of her room, it was the main living room, and diagonal from her room was that sliding door that I was just talking about. So we're all in there. Hard to go to sleep because we're scared that something's going to happen. Eventually, everyone falls asleep. In the middle of the night, I'm awakened. I'm awakened by my mom's voice and a man's voice that I have never heard before. And I thought, okay, what is going on here? Am I going to catch mommy kissing Santa Claus? No, that's not what I was thinking at all. I was freaked out. I was like, what the heck is going on? I don't know who that is. So I remember cracking my grandmother's door open from her room just to peek out there. And my mom is freaked out. I could tell she had just been crying. And there's a deputy standing next to her, consoling her and saying, everything is okay. Everything is okay. And I just stood there for a moment. And then I went back and I sat down for a little bit, waiting until the deputy left. When he finally left, I go out into the living room and I hug my mom and I said, Mom, what's wrong? What happened? What happened? And she says, Richie, someone tried to break into the house just a little while ago. And I said, what? So what she told me was she was awakened by a noise on the deck. that's right across from us where that sliding door is. And she walked out there. And she said that she could hear someone walking up the steps and kind of pacing on the deck. And that she could see a silhouette of a person. And she turns the lights on and she starts yelling out towards the person, "You need to leave. I've called the cops. You need to leave." And she said that the person grabbed a hold of the handle of the sliding door and was trying to rip it open. And she goes, "It's a good thing that your uncle put that broomstick there, because that person was pulling on it really hard. I don't know. Maybe they would have been able to yank it open. But because that thing was there, they couldn't." So she's standing there this whole time, and she yells out to the person that she has a weapon, which is a good thing the person didn't call their bluff, because if I remember correctly, she didn't actually have anything. But she said that she was ready to go and get something. And so the person is yanking, and she's telling them, please, yelling at them, "Please go away. Please go away. I've called the cops." And eventually they do leave. And a little bit later, that officer that was there, that was inside, ends up showing up, and they take a report and everything. And that was the last time anything like that happened. How crazy is that? And again, this is Christmas time. This is close to Christmas Eve when this happens. And I've talked to my mom about it recently, just to, I don't know, get a little more information from her. Because, like, can you imagine going through that and having your kids there, your mom there, and your spouse is gone, and you're the one there left to defend the home. Now, we did have a rifle in the house, but where it was at the time, I don't think she had time to get it. But either way, that happened. And it's one of those moments that I won't forget, especially because of some of the stuff that happened a few days later. Because, you know, that was scary, right? The whole, everything, like I said, that was my first interaction with deputies. And what's funny is that deputy who was out there, years later, I would work with that deputy. Now, I never brought up what happened at my house, but we kind of had, I don't know, it seemed like an unspoken thing, like we knew. But the deputy who worked it, he ended up later on working that same area in the town that I grew up in. He continued, like, when I was working in dispatch. So it was kind of cool to have that connection as well. And just to know that, you know, that dude was there to help us, to save us, basically, from what was going on. So, sir, if you ever listen to this, you know who you are. Thank you so much for your service and for helping us out. So a few days later, it's Christmas Eve. And there's video of this. And actually, I might put this in for the video piece, and so that you can hear it here. So here it is.
Ivan and Mom. These are Dad and Mom. Yeah, Mom. Oh, you're supposed to get that on right now. Oh, brother. Yeah. Well, you better hold on to it. You weren't supposed to get that yet till tomorrow. Well, you better let Rishi hold on to that. No.
So there you have it. That happened on Christmas Eve. My mom, you can just imagine with everything that was going on during that time, my dad being gone, this person who had broke into our house, us going back, a person, maybe the same person, maybe a different person, I don't know, trying to get into the house again with all of us there, that my mom had to have been frazzled doing all of this together. And Mom, I love you. If you listen to this episode, I love you so much. And I thank you for making everything as awesome as possible for us during that time. But yeah, the present from Santa that got put out, got put out early. And the look on my brother's face, he's like, "You got it for me?" And she's like, "Oh no, you weren't supposed to get that until tomorrow." And I'm looking into the camera with the biggest smile in my face. And I think I even shake my head. But what the present was, if you missed it, it was a standalone Sega Genesis controller, because the Sega Genesis had come out with Sonic the Hedgehog, and that was the main present. It was the Sega Genesis bundle with Sonic the Hedgehog, and I don't remember if it was part 1 or part 2, but that was the main Christmas present, and it came with the controller already. And because, there's 4 of us, that little present was the controller that went in it for second player. And it got out there early. So that's one of the funniest things. We still joke and laugh about that. And I'll always have it because my mom recorded it and we have it on video and on a file. And it's one of the coolest moments. So I love that. I love you, Mom. As I said, I wanted to throw that in there because there are, even though there were scary moments, within these stories in the beginning, or the story in the beginning, I wanted to add these last 2 because these are some feel-good moments, funny moments. And you're going to get to hear this one next as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and play it right now and then talk through it. So here it is.
Falcon Central to all stations and units, prepare a copy of BOL. Central, continuing on the BOL, we're getting multiple reports of a suspicious vehicle that appears to be flying and led by a bright red light. First reports advised that it was eastbound over Lake Michigan, but just now we got a call that it went over the 34-mile marker towards Finnville and Allegan. Caller advised that it swooped down low enough to get a description of a jolly white-haired man in a red suit flying a sleigh full of toys with 8 tiny reindeer. Caller says that the man yelled "Merry Christmas" and waved before flying off. The caller did catch the plate on the sleigh that read Santa 1. Make sure to keep an eye out. It looks like Santa has come to town. Such is clear at 2000 hours.
So there you have it. That was probably one of the coolest things that I got to do when I worked in dispatch for that year. And I don't remember for sure if dispatch had done the Santa BOL in a while, but I wanted to do it so badly. And I remember the other supervisor that was there, she goes, "Go ahead and do it. Like, write something up really quick and do it." Because I think she had said as well, like, "I don't know the last time that we've done it, so please go ahead and do it if you want to." I said, "Hell yes." So we were clearing up some stuff. I wrote something up really quick, and then you just heard the audio for it. And then after that, so first off, as soon as I was done, some of the officers played into it as well. And I don't remember if, I don't believe that audio, I think when we pulled the audio, it cut off right there. But there were a couple officers just after that kind of played along a little bit as well, which was really cool. But I felt so good. Like, it was just such a great feeling doing that. And I remember just a little while after that, which was the cherry on the top. Well, there's 2 cherries. I'll get to the second cherry here in a minute. But the first one, while I was in dispatch, phone call comes in. Allegan Central, this is Ricardo. And it's a fire chief from another agency, the county just south of ours. And he says, this is so-and-so fire chief with, whatever fire department it was for the county. And I said, yes, sir, can I help you? And he goes, was that you who just put out the Santa BOL? And I said, yeah, it was. I said, you heard that? And he goes, yeah. He goes, I had my granddaughter sitting with me, and we were scanning the radio, and we just happened to come onto your channel right when you started, right when you put the tone out, and we heard the whole thing, and she had the biggest smile on her face. Man, getting emotional. Like back then. Because we don't always get a thank you for the stuff that we do. So this was extra special. We said thank you. He goes, she had the biggest smile on her face. She said goodnight, and she ran because she knew that Santa was close. And she ran to go jump into bed to go to sleep. And he just said, I just wanted to call you to tell you that. And to say, thank you for what you do. And Merry Christmas. I said Merry Christmas back, and that it was fun and an honor to do it. And I hung up. And it was such a good feeling. It was such a good moment. Well, later on that morning, after the shift, when I got home, when I would get home, if I worked Christmas Eve going into Christmas Day, I would stay awake and open Christmas presents, have Christmas breakfast and everything with the family. And my son Logan, who I don't know, maybe was 5 or 6 at the time, I said, I need you to listen to this because I got the audio, and I played it for him. And he goes, what? Someone saw him and they called it into you? And I said, yeah, and I got to put it out over the radio. And he was so happy. And that was the second cherry on top. Those are the moments just some of the moments that I cherish from my time in dispatch. And I hope that you enjoyed this Christmas episode and these stories. I hope that you have an amazing holiday. If you're working, thank you so much for what you do. I, as well as others who come from the headset and public safety, know exactly what it's like when you're there. So thank you for what you do. And for those who are watching and listening, if you have any comments, questions, you ever want to be a guest on the show, you can simply go to links, and that's links with 2i's.co/IAM911, and you'll find everything there. My email, social media, where to follow, where to hear the latest episodes of the Within the Trenches podcast, the Imagine Listening podcast, and to schedule an episode with me, whether you are new to dispatch, a seasoned dispatcher, or retired dispatcher. For over a decade, I have been capturing dispatch stories, and it is my passion, my love, and I would love to share your story. Please contact me and we will do something. There's also a link for the free community, the Trenches, where I have over 200 hours worth of continuing education, as well as the exclusive spot for the Public Safety Showcase, which is coming back next month in January, and then every other month after that for 2026. So make sure to join. It's free and everything is on there. I do Monday morning coffee chats, Wednesday check-ins, and it is a lot of fun. So make sure to check us out there. A big shout out once again to subscribers of the podcast, all of you who are watching, listening, supporting, and sharing. And shout out to In Digital, Alito Next Gen Core Services, as well as Rapid SOS, Safer Together, for being sponsors. Thank you very much. And again, Merry Christmas. Enjoy your holiday together. I love you guys very much, and I will see you all in the next one.
Imagine listening to someone's worst day every single day. Imagine listening as someone experiences life through their worst nightmare to the miracle of birth or a life saved. I'm Ricardo Martinez, a former 911 dispatcher, and for years, I've been recording the voices of a hidden world, ours. I've provided a space for 911 dispatchers to share their powerful stories. It started as a peer support session and continues. Dispatchers sitting together, sharing out loud, or writing down what they couldn't say. Some stories will grip you. Stories of heartbreak, resilience, and calls that haunt us long after the line goes quiet. But imagine listening is more than heavy emotion. It's about healing. It's about laughing through the chaos, lifting each other up, and reminding the world that dispatchers are human too. The lighthearted will balance the heavy. Experience the power of storytelling, a podcast for the thin gold line and those who want to understand it. This is Imagine Listening. Your worst day is our everyday. Subscribe now wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.